Good morning. My name is Curtis Hoffman, and I'm here to discuss the public relations strategy specifically for Freedom Industries' Elk River chemical disaster, which happened in January of 2014. Once a crisis has been set in motion, there are 6 rules that are extremely important to adhere to in order to have a successful outcome. These are: be first, be right, be credible, express empathy, promote action, and show respect. Now, these are in regard to once a crisis has occurred and what should be done by the company in crisis to make sure that they are recognized by the public and the regulatory agencies and everyone in general as being the one and only source of information, making sure that their information is 100% correct, that they go out of their way to try to do whatever is possible to the people affected, that they make sure they're promoting as much action as possible to rectify the situation, and most importantly, to show as much respect as possible to the families or people affected by the crisis. I wanted to just discuss what Freedom should have done differently. Of course, hindsight is 2020, but there were glaring mistakes made by Freedom Industries that should never have occurred. Starting with the number one rule, be first. Freedom should have been the first people to disclose that a leak had occurred. Instead, it was local residents who smelled the licorice-like stench in the area. This is completely and utterly unacceptable. What should have Freedom Industries done differently? Well, to start, they should have been right with their disclosure. Applying the second rule of being right was also incorrectly managed by Freedom Industries. Freedom Industries failed when asked by the WV department operator on the morning of the spill if the chemical had reached the Elk River. The employee clearly said no. He also said the MCHM mixture was not hazardous. Both of these are not true. Furthermore, the company originally said only one chemical mixture, crude MCHM, had been involved in the leak. Although employees reportedly knew the tank contained a second chemical mixture, PPH, comprising 2 propylene glycol phenyl ethers, that information was not communicated until nearly 2 weeks later. With these false statements went the people's trust, and without the trust you have nothing. And things only quickly snowballed out of control and into the control of the press and the rumor mill, the last place you wanted to go. Continuing on with what Freedom should have done differently. When people have experienced a traumatic event, it is extremely important to be very empathetic to the experience they have gone through. People are sad and angry and hurt, and most importantly, feel deceived. Freedom Industries should have jumped on any opportunity to make good with their local residents and do whatever was necessary to provide the answers and upcoming solutions to the problem they created. This was their opportunity to sit down with people until all questions were asked and answered. Unfortunately, instead, they did just the opposite. The unappropriate responses from Freedom Industries. In his one public televised appearance, Freedom Industries president Gary Southern apologized for the spill, then quickly attempted to end the interview saying, "It's been an extremely long day." Although Southern did go on to answer questions further, For journalists and angry viewers felt his behavior was totally insensitive. This is the very definition of ineffective communication and how not to be empathetic. No matter how tired and long his day had been, he should have manned up and stayed to answer questions until every single question that wanted to be asked was asked and answered. This would have been a display of taking a little responsibility for something your company directly caused. He also should have been much more aware of the little things like drinking from a bottled water bottle on camera after citizens of West Virginia had potentially been drinking tainted water and possibly been hospitalized by that point. If he was thirsty, put the water in a cup that is not see-through so it looks like he's drinking a cup of coffee. These are all somewhat logical to most people, but in the heat of the moment, it's very important to have these rules written down and discussed before you go out in front of a live TV audience. If Freedom Ministries had just used a few of these simple strategies, they would have come across to the public in a much more caring, positive manner. Instead, they chose to push ahead, effectively blindly, and this got them in an enormous amount of trouble from a PR perspective. Transforming Freedom Ministries. We need to create a PR crisis management plan going forward for Freedom Ministries in case they were to ever run into a situation similar to Elk River again. First, we need to diagnose the company's possible vulnerabilities, and that is, what possible crises could Freedom Ministries run into in the future? We need to know very clearly what issues might come down the pike. If we're not prepared for everything, then we're not prepared. And all it takes is one crisis that we're not prepared and everything will fall apart. 2. Assess the various types of crises that your organization might be vulnerable to in the future. This is basically what we just discussed for 1 as well. Number 3, hire and train a dedicated crisis management team that will immediately take responsibility for putting the crisis management strategy of your company into play. This can be done in multiple ways. You can hire a crisis management consultant. You can hire within or just create a crisis management team within, have them properly trained, and become the primary and secondary points of contact for upcoming crises. 4, have a dedicated spokesperson for the company, whether that be an internal employee of the company or a crisis management firm who is completely familiar with your company and its possible vulnerabilities to various crisis situations. 5, develop a crisis management plan so that everyone who should be is on the same page from the second a crisis has occurred. 6, always have a continuing review process of your crisis management communication system. The crisis management plan for Freedom Ministries. First, we need to create a crisis management team. This involves creating a list of primary and secondary contacts within the company and or the crisis management consultant so as soon as a crisis has begun, the correct people are immediately notified and the crisis management plan can be put in place. 3, create a crisis management plan that outlines everything and everyone that needs to be put into motion, by whom, and have each of these individuals sign the plan for accountability purposes. Closing issues. The Elk River disaster was horrendous and horrible and affected hundreds of thousands of people, and we hope that situations like this never occur in the future. But preparation is paramount. Practice fire drill crisis situations so everyone is used to their role in managing a crisis when the real thing occurs. Create full reports after each fire drill so that everyone knows what aspects need to be worked on further. Remember, preparation is paramount. The more the company practices, the more prepared they will be. I cannot stress this enough. Think of all the fire drills we used to do in high school and middle school. It wasn't fun. We didn't enjoy it, although of course we liked to get out of class. It was done so we would be well prepared in the event of a real fire. 3. Media checklists must be created between media that the company has a good relationship with so that they can be trusted to get the truth out from the company. It's always a great idea to have a list of media who the company works with who can be used to disseminate truthful information to the public, not media who is just further promoting the rumor mill and making statements that are untrue and more of a guess than anything. 4. Annual reviews of the crisis management plan so that best practices can be weaved into the plan as new methods evolve in the space. This is a constant evolving space, and with that comes new ways of solving these issues on an annual and semi-annual basis. It is of the utmost importance that the members of the crisis management team take it upon themselves to make sure that any new methods can be incorporated into their plan to better prepare themselves for the next time an Elk River crisis occurs. I have put all this down in a Word document as well that I've attached to this presentation and will upload as well, that goes a little bit deeper and explains more in depth some of the situations that occurred in the Elk River situation, or crisis rather, and how Freedom Industries could have been much better, well prepared, and how we going forward could create a successful crisis management tool for Freedom Industries. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.